African Americans suffering from blood cancers and blood disorders have the lowest odds of all ethnic groups of finding matching donors for critical life-saving bone marrow treatments. July is African American Bone Marrow Awareness Month. Jennifer Jones-Austin is a member of the board of directors with the National Marrow Donor Program, as well as the Be a Match campaign, to help us spread the word on the importance of signing up for a donor registry. Jennifer, let me start this way. Why is it important for African Americans to be registered in a bone marrow donor registry?
On any given day, someone can be diagnosed with leukemia or another blood cancer, sickle cell anemia, and their chances for having a long life, a full and fulfilling life, are better if there is someone who's there to help them to be a bone marrow donor, to replace their infected, their bad blood system with bone marrow.
Let's take a step back. Talk about how the system works, because I think a lot of people don't even understand that. It's not like you're giving bone marrow and somebody comes along and says, oh, I can use it. You need to be in the registry first. So just talk about how the system works.
So every year, several thousand people, like tens of thousands of people, are diagnosed with blood cancers and other blood disorders. And again, to survive the diseases, very often they require a new bone marrow system, blood and bone marrow system. Bone marrow transplantation gives people the opportunity to have a new lease on life. What essentially happens is their own bone marrow system is killed. It's just knocked out, and then it is replaced with a healthy bone marrow system. So what happens is, a person learns from the doctor that they have a blood cancer and that they're in need of a transplant. What first occurs is the person looks to his or her family, because you're more likely to match with someone of the same race and ethnicity. And most likely, you'll find somebody that has the same HLA typing, genetic typing, with someone in your own family. 70% of the people who are diagnosed with a blood cancer often don't find a bone marrow donor within their family.
Wow.
So then they have to turn to the National Bone Marrow Registry. Here in America, 11 million people in the registry, but for African Americans, only 7% of the registry are persons of African descent.
And that then leads me to my next question. Why is that? Why is there such a low number of African Americans on the registry?
I think there are a range of issues, everything from lack of awareness that there is a need, that people can donate and they're not putting themselves in harm's way, lack of an appreciation that there is actually a bone marrow registry and it doesn't take much to participate. And then there are some beliefs about, how painful it is to do. It's not painful. In most instances, it's not invasive, but people think they have to take time from their busy schedules to do this, and it sets them back.
Yeah, and the truth is, for so many African Americans who do need a bone marrow donation, and it's difficult to find the match, that means that the mortality rate often is higher with these diseases amongst African Americans.
When I was diagnosed, one of the first things I thought was, so often, the African American community, and especially, people who are challenged with income and other issues, health issues, have to look to other people to help solve the problem. With bone marrow donation, the African American community can take care of its own community. And, our children, our fathers, our mothers can help save the lives of other people, children with umbilical cord blood, adult individuals, by donating bone marrow, by joining the registry and being there, being available, being ready. And the best thing about it is that you never know when you're going to be afflicted with disease. You never know when you're going to need someone to step up for you. But if you join the registry, and more people join the registry, there's a greater likelihood that should you be afflicted with the blood cancer, that someone will be there to help save your life.
And let's talk about the difference between actual bone marrow donation and the very innocuous process of being on the registry.
Absolutely, absolutely. So it simply takes a cheek swab and filling out a health form to join the registry. When you join the registry, you're not certain whether you're ever going to be called, but you do have to come forward with the mindset that if I'm called, I want to make myself available. Now, when it comes to actually being called, it's usually only 1 in 500 people who are in fact called. But if you are that 1 in 500, a call is made to you. It looks like, based on your genetic typing, because of this cheek swab, that you may be a potential match for someone in need of a transplant. Would you do some blood testing, some basic blood testing to see if there's a potential match? They run a battery of tests, and if it proves that you are a likely match, Very often it's peripheral blood stem cell transplantation, which looks like they're actually simply taking blood from you, blood out of your arm. It's like taking like giving blood, donating blood, and then transfusing that into the recipient. Sometimes it's a little more invasive, where they're taking marrow from your bone, but often it's an outpatient one-day procedure. It doesn't get in the way of you living your life. But what it does do is help somebody else live a better life.
You said this almost as a throwaway, but you said when I needed bone marrow, you know personally the benefits of finding a match and getting a bone marrow donation.
I do.
Tell us just a little bit about your journey.
I know the benefits and I know the struggle. I know how frightening it is to one day find yourself with a blood cancer, leukemia, and not knowing if you're going to live or die. And knowing that there's a cure for leukemia and some other blood cancers, but not knowing if you're going to find that person out there in this universe, which when it comes to us helping each other can be relatively small, not knowing if that person's going to be there for you, but at the same time, being hopeful that there is somebody who thought of someone else and who took the time and stepped up to be a bone marrow donor registrant.
How long did it take for them to find a match for you?
So interestingly, in my case, I didn't get a typical bone marrow, what they call bone marrow donation, unrelated bone marrow donation. I received umbilical cord blood, which is a growing alternative to bone marrow donation, and particularly for persons of color, because with cord blood, you don't really have to have the same level of genetic matching. And so I received cord blood from 2 African-American baby boys whose mothers thought enough, years back, to save the cord blood and donate it to a public cord blood bank. So what I like people to think about is you can do it as an adult, join the registry, but if you're having a baby or you know someone who's having a baby, encourage them to donate their cord blood to a public bank. It doesn't cost you anything, but it could help save a life.
Literally, and you are the living, breathing proof of that. Jennifer Jones-Austin, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you
so much. I appreciate it.
Wish you all the best.
Thank you.
And that's going to do it for us today. Thank you so much for joining us. Do join us one more time on Tomorrow for a Rise America. We'll be back, and we'll see you then. Bye-bye.